Peggy 18.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Global Esports Reveal, coming to you live from Gamescom in Germany. I'm Scott Lowe from Activision, and tonight we've got an incredible show in store. We've assembled some of the best Call of Duty players in the world to bring you the first ever competitive gameplay in Black Ops 3. We'll also get a first look at some of the big new esports features launching with the game on November 6th. And who better to talk to about that than the man himself, Mr. David Vonderhaar, Studio Design Director at Treyarch.
Thank you so much. It's really exciting for all of us to be here for sure. Tonight, we are going to see some very talented players from all over the world showcase the game live on PlayStation 4s. Thank you to Sony for all of your support. On top of the live gameplay, we get to share some of the new things that we have in the game on the esports front. Now, this is something that the team at Treyarch has been focus on for the last 3 years. So it's really cool for all of us to finally share all of it with you and the world.
All right, now before we get too far into the esports, as much as I'm really excited about it, let's kind of recap what the core innovations to multiplayer are.
So there's a lot going on in the game, as you guys all know. So we're obviously super excited that the fans get to play Black Ops 3 here in Cologne. But we all know, hopefully by now, about the new momentum-based movement system. That's the system that lets players fluidly thrust, jump, and wall run, and swim, and navigate through the world. There's also the specialist system. And the specialist system really challenges the way that players engage in combat in key points in the match. And you're going to see that, of course, featured here as well tonight.
Yeah, I think between the new movement system and the specialist, it really opens up like a really incredible strategic opportunity. So, you know, with that in mind, was the game kind of designed, or were those features really designed with esports in mind?
Yeah, so really since the start of the Black Ops series, we've been really looking at esports as this great opportunity, extremely fast-growing component of everything we do. The game modes like Hardpoint, the Codcaster, these are all now staples of Call of Duty and the competitive scene. We think the core movement system and the specialist are going to lead to some really great competitive play. But all of that's really just the beginning, as we will show you all of it today.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it in the hands of the pros. These guys are so good. So, speaking of which, let's meet our casters who will be helping us MC tonight's matches. Thanks to the MLG for letting us borrow Maven and Mr. X.
All right, thanks, Scott and Vaughn. I am Maven, joined by Matthew, Mr. X Morello. But it's the esports reveal. How pumped are you?
We are beyond excited for this.
Yeah.
We both love Call of Duty esports. We travel all the events throughout the year, and this is what it's all about. I mean, Black Ops 3 esports, where it all kind of started with Black Ops 2, it's going to be massive.
It's incredible. I know we've been so excited. We've had a couple days here. The players have been playing a lot. Some of the stuff we've seen them do has been absolutely ridiculous. We've had some hands-on. I am so excited. There's so much more information, so many features to bring to you over the course of the next hour.
And the game just looks beautiful. I mean, as the players are playing it, the movement, like they were talking about, it's really fluid, really easy to get a hang of. It's going to be awesome to watch them play.
All right, well, speaking of those features, we've got Scott and Vaughn with the rundown.
Thanks, guys. Now, Vaughn, Treyarch has a long storied history with esports, with the introduction of codcasting tools, league play, and integrated streaming in Black Ops 2. How did you guys really kind of set out to top yourselves in Black Ops 3?
It's been a really amazing experience for all of us to watch the growth in competitive Call of Duty. I've said it before, but it's really important to say that until you watch competitive Call of Duty be played at the highest levels in an arena like this one, it's very hard to understand, and that's why it's important for us to showcase it. Starting with Black Ops 3, though, it was very important for us to really make sure we made the right choices about how to continue our investment that we put into the growth. So our esports agenda innovates in a couple of really important ways. First, we really built league play and put it together and are calling it Arena and it's made it a far more accessible experience, which we're going to tell you all about. We did a bottom-up evaluation of how game content is used competitively, and we want to make sure that that's a part of the experience, and you're going to see what that feature is all about. We've also spent a lot of time on the Codcaster feature itself. We need to make it easy to configure and set up. We have to provide some new tools for the casters to create the best broadcast package that they can for their viewers at home. Being able to spectate a Call of Duty competitive game is just as important to us as being able to play one, so that one's very important to me personally.
Awesome. Well, let's start with the weapons and gear. Obviously, that's integral to the competitive experience. These guys, they become accustomed to things, they get really into it. In years past, the competitive rule set was kind of defined by competitive organizations, by the developers, by the teams. But now with Black Ops 3, you're really kind of taking that and putting that power back in the hands of the players. Tell us about protects and bans.
So there's no doubt that this is the most significant change to how Call of Duty eSports will be played over the coming years, and it's something that I'm really excited about. There's always this pretty large and sometimes contentious sort of idea about what should be restricted. What do you consider competitive? What do you consider anti-competitive? And how does all that work? But restricting game content actually takes the game and sort of pushes it further away from how the vast majority of people actually play the game, where they play with everything. So it's on us as developers to properly balance the game for sure. It's on all of us who are interested in esports to promote a real healthy ecosystem where the public game and the competitive game can be as similar to one another as possible. That's why right here, right now, on this show tonight, we are going to demonstrate the bans and protect system. So when you're playing in a competitive game in arena or in a custom game, there's an entire metagame where players take turns deciding what piece of content they want to ban and what piece of content they want to protect. So before the game even starts, players are presented with a series of choices. Each player votes to ban or protect one piece of game content. Now, this is a very flexible system with a lot of custom configuration. Now, for the purposes of demonstration, we put all of the game content in the system. That's anything in Create a Class. That's all the score streaks. That's every specialist, weapon, or ability. That's hundreds of pieces of game content. So it's a whole new meta layer for the game, one that the players are in complete control of. This has the added benefit of truly demystifying that behind-the-scenes negotiation between players and leagues and developers that you were talking about. Now the players will decide, and those decisions will change moment to moment, game to game, and opponent to opponent.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because you mentioned specialists, which of course are new to Black Ops 3. They introduced a completely new class of weapons and abilities in the game, which can really, really shape a match. How do they fit into the competitive environment?
As we've talked about before, we like to say that the specialist weapons and abilities are designed to fit in that power band that exists between all of the content in Create a Class and the score streaks themselves. So it's absolutely true that specialist weapons and abilities are going to be extremely effective and very, very powerful in a competitive game situation. So as an example, there is nothing quite like finding yourself in the right situational opportunity to activate Ruin's overdrive for a clutch run with the satellite drone, slam dunking it right in for a game-winning score. Now this makes picking the right specialist or ability at the right time for the right game mode all that much more critical to the game. So specialists work with the competitive agenda in a very important way that we call the specialist draft. Now the specialist draft is when each player from each side can only have one specialist weapon or ability per team. So let me use an example. Let's say it's a pro game, it's 4-on-4, it's uplink. During the setup of that game, only one player can take Ruin Overdrive. The other three players on that team have to take a different weapon from the specialist or a different specialist ability.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the teams have to think very, very carefully about what they pick. And but more importantly, I think, from a kind of codcasting perspective, I think there's a lot more to discuss in terms of the metagame and doing that analysis, which begs a really important question, which is what Maven and Mr. X have to say about it. So what are your guys' thoughts?
All right, this is amazing. Matt, you were a former professional FPS player. I was semi-professional at best. But when you hear stuff like meta,
Balance.
All these words just, man, I'm getting so pumped for just think of the way this is going to diversify and make it such a more dynamic
Yeah,
gameplay.
and you get deeper into the bans and protects, right? You know, a team that has a player like Clayster probably has to protect his dominant AR that he's really good with, or he has to get good with all the AR. So it adds so much more depth to the game than the way the specialists are used. You know, a player like TP, maybe he goes for a more OBJ-minded specialist. And then, you know, some of the best slayers in the game, they'll pick some of the weapon specialists and be able to use those to their advantage. So the game will change game to game, opponent to opponent.
Well, we saw just in the course of yesterday, really. You know, one player's going off big time with a specific rifle. Next thing you know, that gets banned next map. The course of, you know, an esports season, the course of the game, the way to watch this stuff change is going to be absolutely amazing. But, you know, we talked about the fact that we have competitive players here. We are, of course, going to be having some Black Ops 3 action. We've got Scott, main stage. We're going to have a live draft.
All right, so speaking of the players, I have the privilege of introducing the pros that will be showcasing the game and the new competitive features. We've gathered some of the best from all over the globe, including TP, Doug Sensor Martin, and Merc from the US, Tommy from the UK, Gotoga from France, Kiwi representing the hometown crowd here in Germany, Flex Z from Spain, and Buzzo from Australia. With all this talent in one spot, we're going to shake things up a bit. We have two captains, TP, winner of the 2014 Call of Duty Championship and 18 major Call of Duty tournament wins, and Kiwi, who competed this year's Call of Duty Championship and is our hometown host. Welcome, guys. All right. So this really is your guys' first opportunity to go really competitive in this game. So, you know, how does that feel?
This game is awesome. It feels like Black Ops 2 with the new movement, maps, and other new stuff. I can't wait to play this game.
Awesome. And what about you, TB?
It's an honor to be here to represent the COD esports community. Seeing it grow over the years has been absolutely amazing, and I think we're in for a very good year this time around.
Awesome. Well, due to a coin toss earlier tonight, we decided that Kiwi was going to have first pick. So this is a pretty defining moment. So who's it going to be?
My first pick is Spass.
All right. All right, now Buzzo, of course, is a really tough competitor, so you have to pick carefully now. What's your first pick, TP?
I'm going to go with the veteran from the US, Merc.
All right, welcome, Merc. Okay, so this is kind of a defining moment, Kiwi. So who is going to be your next pick?
The one and only Sensor.
All right. Sensor is obviously a big talent as well. So TP, who's going to be your next pick?
Next, I'm going to go with a boy from the UK, Tommy.
All right, welcome, Tommy. So now it's really down to the fourth and final player for your team. So you really have an opportunity to kind of make a real big impact. So who is going to be your fourth player?
I'm going with the best French player, Gotoga.
All right, last and not least, TP.
Last, I got my guy, Flex Z.
All right, guys. Well, now that you have your teams, I think we should have like a proper handshake, have a good, clean match. Thank you so much. Now for some analysis, I'm tossing it back to Mr. X and Maven.
All right, great stuff, Scott. Matt, let's break down these rosters. What are your initial thoughts?
You know, Teep's team's going to be pretty good. You know, Teep and Tommy on the same squad with Merc. Expect Merc to be running the AR on this team. Then you know, I feel like Tommy's the UK version of TP in a way, right? They're just so good around the objective, such selfless players. Expect them to do some really good things. But look out for Buzzo. We've been, watching these players play throughout the last, 2-3 days, and Buzzo's been absolutely crushing.
I mean, there were multiple games that we were watching. Obviously, we were messing around with the Codcaster mode, getting hands-on as well, and Buzzo would have like 48 kills. I look down, and the next closest is going to be 24, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But taking a look forward, our first game type is going to be Combine Hardpoint for game number 1. This is set to be just a ridiculous matchup here. Now, Combine is set in the remote Egyptian Sahara. This vertical farming and sustainability research facility pays fast and frantic with tight interiors, an open middle, and a dangerous flank path. I think this is going to be an absolute battle. We've had some really, really back and forth games throughout the past couple days.
Right, the middle of the map gets crazy, and you're able to win those gun engagements with assault rifles from base to base. It's got a wall that you can actually wall run to the opposing team's base, and then that far side of the map has that wall running spot all the way on the opposing side. So that is a good flanking area to get to the opponent's base. Then you're going to have the other side. It's going to have just a rocky area where you're going to have to win some close quarter gun engagements. And what I love about this map is it's viable for SMG players and assault rifle players, right? You know, the SMGs can go on the flanks, play close quarters on the outside, and then the ARs can dominate the middle.
Yep, it's certainly going to provide a good variety. Now, we talked about bans and protects and how influential they're going to be on the game. Let's kick it off. This is going to be the first glimpse here of the live ban protect system.
Yeah, so Tommy and Sensor are both going to go at the same time here, and it's pretty much a race. So you see Sensor, he's going to ban that thermal sight, and Tommy, he's going to go for the UAV. So both those players are going to go down to the next two players in line.
Yep, we'll keep ripping through here, see what players are trying to eliminate. You know, it was really awesome just watching through the course of that first day how dynamically it changed game by game as players started to adapt to each other's playstyles.
Right, because players started to ban, you know, the guns that the other players were good with. And then it saw, you know, game to game, game mode to game mode really changed. See Gotaga, he's going to go to protect that M8A7 favorite of everyone from Black Ops 2.
Yeah, we've seen that M8 used so much, and not surprised that's the first one protected. You'll see Flex going to be banning the mothership, and then Kiwi will protect that man of war.
That's for his teammate, though. That's for his teammate,
that's for Buzzo, 100%. Yeah. Buzzo has been ripping with that man of war.
Here's where, you know, the strategy comes into it. You know, Buzzo has that last ban. He's not going to be able to really, you know, Merc would have probably banned the man of war right there. You know, that's been Buzzo's go-to. He ends up getting rid of 6th Sense, and then Buzzo gets rid of C4 at the end, and now we have the specialist draft Maven.
Yep, this is huge. Now, we've seen a lot of different game types. We've seen how these players have adapted again over the course of the past couple days. These picks are going to start to come in. You're going to see Annihilator coming in as first pick for Sensor and Tommy. Tell me a little bit about that specialist class.
Yeah, so the Annihilator is that massive high-caliber revolver with penetration rounds. You know, you're going to see players try and pick up lots of kills on the outside. You're going to see TP go with Ruin Overdrive. You expect that out of a lot of the OBJ players. Lets you to move fast around the map. Gotaga going for that Outrider Sparrow. It's going to be nice to have that bow be able to.
Yeah, we haven't seen it used a ton. We'll see if it can be used to effect in this Hardpoint. And then Rejack, you'll see that coming in on both teams. Tell me a little bit about Rejack, Matt.
So Rejack, when you die, allows you to come right back to life. You know, there's a smoke around it. It's great for, you know, players that want to hold down positions and then they want to get a second chance of it, right? You know, you have to use it at the right time or else it's not going to be as effective. You see the last two players, it's going to be a Prophet Tempest from Merc, and then Buzzo going to go with that Reaper Psychosis. That's one that we've seen a lot of players do some nice stuff with.
Oh, yeah, the Psychosis, you know, you're going to have those holograms. We've seen them use the drones. Able to, defensively, we've seen it offensively and Hardpoint specifically. You know, you'll have people set up in the Hardpoint. You're trying to bust in. You send out the holograms, provide a bit of a distraction, then you're able to fly in with the sub, fly in with the AR, make a big play on the Hardpoint. It's been phenomenal for me to see just how quickly, I mean, I know it's too early to develop.
Innovating how they've been using this stuff, right? You know, the first day we saw them just kind of basically using them, you know, just randomly whenever they got them. Now you're seeing them time when they use these specialist abilities really, you know, coming up clutch. I mean, we've seen a few times where, you know, that Rejack has come in, you know, saved a team from losing those spawns, and then we've seen something where the Prophet Tempest, you know, it's able to just jump into a hill, clear, weaken, you know, 2 or 3 opponents. So it's going to be interesting game to game how this is going to change.
And you'll see here the one bit we didn't talk about. You get to edit your class and score streaks before we hop into the action. Obviously, with how much more diverse this game's going to be, how much more you have to be familiar with different weapons, different score streaks. Before each game, you're going to have a chance to edit your class, get everything set to go. As soon as players ready up, we'll be ready to hop in. Again, game 1 is going to be Hardpoint on Combine. I cannot wait to get the action, Matt.
And as a team, you're really going to have to work together to pick, you know, what are we going to ban? What are we going to protect? What order we're going to do it in? And then, as we said before, it's a race. So those first 2 players are trying to ban and protect the same thing. It's to whoever gets there first.
All right, game 1, Team Kiwi going up against Team TP. All right, I know this isn't the finals of a tournament, but I still need a prediction out of Matt. Who you picking in this one?
You know, Team TP is pretty strong. I'm going to be looking to see how Buzzo, though, plays for Team Kiwi. He's got that Reaper Psychosis. You know, with the assault rifle, you imagine they protected the man of war. He's going to have that in his hands. Going to be interesting to see how he's going to play.
Well, speaking of what you talked about, Buzzo, I'm going to kick things off with him as we're getting ready to hop into the action. What's bound to be an amazing game 1.
Yeah, and you're going to see them fight over this middle hard point. It's going to be right in the center of the map. Going to be teams fighting from all over the place. You're going to see teams going all the way up to that top side. You're going to see that green arrow try and get to the other side of the map for that flank. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to see players try and win those close quarter engagements and then just slide out and take that middle hard point.
Yep, you can see via the X-ray. Obviously, that is just for you viewers at home, and us casters able to get vision on where the pushes are coming for. Buzzo is going to be taken out after he started out 2-0. Going to switch over to Team TP. Tommy also 2-0. He's set up in the hard point right now, trying to get as much time as he can for his team. Out to an early lead here. Now, Matt, one thing I want to touch on as we're early into the game. We have a little bit of time to talk here. This has been a great addition. You have the ability here now on the controller.
Widget, yeah.
You pull up the widget here for each player. You can go through, you'll see at the bottom middle of the screen here, but you can see Psychosis. He has the Man of War. You can go through all the perks, see everything that they have on their class, able to pop it right back out. It's incredible here for us and for you at home to see what's going on in the action.
It's such a great little graphic end feature in the Codcaster mode. I mean, makes it so easy for the broadcaster. Just looks great and professional. And you see Buzzo on a 5 streak now, has that Psychosis ability. It'll be interesting to see when he decides to use that. He's getting close to his streaks as well, Maven, so he's going to try and set up for this next hill, regen some health, try and get those streaks. As we remember back to Black Ops 2 competitive play, how large were score streaks?
Huge. It just completely changes the game. It's amazing to have them here in Black Ops 3, as we'll see Buzzo so close to streaks, and now he's going to have it set up. Going to have the Hellstorm missile, going to be set up for when he comes off a spawn. We're going to stay on with him, as he's got his specialist ability up.
He's fully
got
loaded.
streaks.
I mean, he has his specialist ability. He has 2 score streaks. The Hellstorm and that Guardian will decide when he uses it, and that's what's going to be the whole metagame, right? You're going to have that pre-match metagame deciding, what we're going to protect, what we're going to ban, what specialists we're going to use, and then in-game, right? When to use score streaks is such a large part of Black Ops 2. Now it's when to use your score streaks and specialist abilities, because those special abilities can change around the game, right? This hardpoint's so close. Let's say there was a ruin with the gravity spikes. He was able to just jump in there, clear a hardpoint out like that. You wouldn't want to waste that. You see, that is going to be the Nomad using his rejack ability to come back to life right there.
Yeah, I'm going to keep eyes on with Tommy real quick, just because he's 9-6. He has the Annihilator in his pocket when he's ready to use that. We've seen that be used very effectively in different game modes. There it is. There's the one-shot kill. Can he get a second? Able to pick it up as he's heating up with the Annihilator. See, he's got 5 shots left in that. They've got a 23-point advantage here, and Tommy's starting to roll.
And we've seen some players do some great things with the Annihilator. He absolutely destroys Gotaga there. And they're just able to push out those spawns and really just lock it down for the team. I mean, how huge on a hardpoint, Maven, is when your team gets control, you're able to push out, take 2-3 players out from the next wave of the opponent. It's able to buy your team, 20-30 seconds on the hill.
Well, we had Kiwi in the hill. He's 11-9, going to end up dropping here. They're trailing big time. We've seen some great comebacks in this game already, as we've been watching just the action again over the past